Oh, there I am. Didn't add myself to the stage if you're watching live on YouTube. Off to a roaring start. Hi, hello. It's Josh Bowe from Pod Maverick. Normally Pod Maverick with Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe. Tonight is just Pod Maverick with Josh Bowe because Kirk is being typical shadow broker in Las Vegas. He did a podcast with our friends at the LLS. I believe he did a podcast with Yahoo's Kevin O'Connor, formerly of The Ringer. So he's living it up in Vegas. He's having a good time. So I'm just gonna do a quick solo show. Normally I don't. This might be our last summer league podcast. Obviously, we will still be doing weekly podcasts, but in terms of doing post game shows after a summer league game, it kind of depends on what the Mavericks do with Cooper Flagg from here on out. There's whispers. I don't know, real whispers, but there's some people are speculating that this might have been Cooper's last game. And if it was a hell of a game to go out on. The Mavericks lose 76-69 to the San Antonio Spurs. It was a pretty anticipated matchup for Summer League because Spurs number 2 overall pick Dylan Harper played. So you had number 1 versus number 2 from the draft. And Flag was awesome. I mean, I'm coming to you like almost 8 to 10 hours after the fact, which so I didn't get to react live because I wasn't watching the game live, but I had to watch it later, and I kind of caught up and everything, and everyone was going pretty crazy because he was awesome. 31 points, 10 of 21 from the field, 3 of 9 from three. His only blemish was he was 8 of 13 from the free throw line, and that's not even that awful. 4 rebounds, an assist, a block, only 2 turnovers. The fact that he has played somewhat 60 plus minutes in his 2 summer league games, and he has a total of 3 turnovers when you consider how much he's been handling the ball and how much he's been getting shots up. That, I mean, there are a lot of impressive things about what Flag has done in his 2 summer league games so far, but that might be the most impressive thing, honestly. The fact that he only has 3 turnovers. His ability to process the game, it is not we talked about this after our last show after his first game. No one should be compared to Luka in terms of their ability to process and their feel for the offensive side of the floor because Luka was a one of one. But Cooper's ability is pretty impressive when you consider his his strengths are mostly on the defensive side of the floor, and his ability on the offensive end has just grown exponentially since he was a high schooler. And when you consider how good he projects to be as a defensive player, and you don't say the offense is a bonus. He went number 1 overall. You expect him to be a good offensive player, and he certainly proved that his one season at Duke. But his floor has always been, even if the offense doesn't come, he's going to be a dynamite defender. And the fact that he's scoring off the dribble. I mean, again, it's summer league, so he can't take too much of it. But his ability to make the right play, even if it's only 2 summer league games and we don't know what this is going to look like in the regular season, that's just impressed me. We can only react to what we can react to, right? This is what we see. We can't overreact because it is summer league, but this is also what we have to watch. Besides, his tape in Duke and what he did in high school. So yeah, the 3 turnovers in his 2 games in summer league, that's low. If you want to circle a number from his line in these 2 games, that's what I would circle because that's going to have a really big bearing on him going forward. If he can continue to just make the right play, again, doesn't need to be a playmaker. He had 1 assist. He doesn't need to be a huge assist guy, but if he's someone that can score and when he handles the ball a lot and he doesn't turn it over a lot, that's a recipe for success. Even if he's not necessarily a heliocentric creator for his teammates. We can let that, he can develop that down the line. If he comes out of the box and he's not a high turnover player, and if he is, it's okay. He's a rookie, but that just stood out to me. The other thing that stood out to me watching his game was kind of funny enough, it wasn't that different process wise than his first game. He just made his jumpers. I don't think he's that bad of a jump shooter. He came out after the game and was kind of mad at his performance. So yeah, he basically made a lot of the shots that he just missed. I think he was 0 for 5 from three. Now he was 3 of 9, which again isn't a crazy efficient number, but it's good enough. And he was 10 of 21 from the floor, so he was decent enough on his twos. He hit more of his mid range pull up twos. The one thing I guess that was a difference between his game 1 and game 2 is that he got to the rim off the dribble a little bit better. He had some good finishes at the basket after taking his defender off the dribble from the 3-point line and being able to get to the rim, which is good to see. Didn't need a ton of screens, although he handled the ball in the pick and roll, and this he's going to see this when if he runs pick and roll in the NBA, teams are going to dare him to shoot a jumper, and he casually and confidently walked into a number of jumpers today. He had a pull-up 3 out of the pick and roll, and I think he had another pull-up 2, maybe a couple pull-up 2s, which was nice to see. So it's kind of funny. Like I don't know what more to talk about because stylistically, it was kind of the same performance. He just made his jumpers, which is why, again, it was so incredibly silly for anyone getting onto him after that game 1. Like, I mean, that's why I didn't even want to acknowledge anyone having those opinions because it was just one game. He was clearly going to turn it around, and even if he didn't, it's okay because it's summer league. And yeah, he just it was a good reminder. If he doesn't play another game, which again we don't know, he very much could play more games. We'll see. We don't have that officially we don't have confirmation, but sometimes with these high level players, these top 5 picks, teams just want to get their feet wet and then don't risk any injury because really there's nothing more to see. There's nothing more Cooper Flagg needs to do in summer league. Maybe more on-ball reps to help prepare him for those opportunities when he gets into the NBA proper this October. But otherwise, like, what does he have to prove? He has nothing to prove. He's ready to go. He's about as ready to go as any rookie can be, So if there's nothing to prove, why risk him getting hurt? But again, it's fun. Fans come to see him. Like there's a lot of people in Vegas this year for summer league, and they're here to see him. Obviously here to see Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey and VJ Edgecombe. So I would love to see him keep playing because it's fun to watch. Like it would definitely make watching. I have to watch these damn summer league games anyway, and they're not the prettiest affairs. So by my preference, I would love for him to play in all of them. But we'll see what happens. So yeah, Cooper was awesome. This is probably going to be a shorter show. I'm talking about myself, and it's a summer league game. So we'll just run down some other things. Ryan Nembhard came back down to earth. 2 points, 1 to 10 shooting. He did have 7 assists, 5 turnovers. Yeah, just kind of came back down to earth. He was 0-4 in threes. Something noticed is he seemed a little hesitant on the catch and shoot 3, which is something I hope the Mavericks coaches work with him. He really loves that pull up 2 in the midi, especially off closeouts and in the pick and roll. And it was great when he was hitting him in that first game, and he basically didn't hit any of them in this game. So that's a good shot for him, but he doesn't need to rely, that doesn't need to be his foundation. He needs to be confident in shooting catch and shoot threes when defense is given the opportunity. He kind of hesitated on the catch on the closeouts where he had space, and he kind of hesitated as if the closeout was there, even though it was kind of farther away. And then he dribbled into a more contested jumper a couple times. So again, he's an undrafted 2-way player, not a big deal. And again, his floor game seems really good. I know he had the 5 turnovers, but 7 assists was good. He was a positive in his time on the floor, whatever you want to take plus minus for in the summer league game. So, mixed bag performance. But that's the one thing I would note is, hey, he needs to be confident taking catch and shoot threes, which we'll see. I'm sure Mavericks coaches will work on him with that. Another thing that I noticed is Maxwell Lewis, who I believe, let me double check. Is he entering his 3rd year or is he entering his 2nd year? Sorry to do this on the fly. Yeah, he's entering his 3rd year. So this is his 3rd year. I believe this is probably his 3rd summer league. He was a 2nd-round pick of the Lakers back in 2023, the same year Derek Lively was drafted. I remember kind of beating the drum for him for the Mavericks to buy back into the 2nd round and draft him. And there were a lot of smart draft people that I trusted that really liked him coming out of Pepperdine. Big rangy forward with some scoring pop. And he hasn't shown anything in these 2 summer league games. And he started. He only played 14 minutes. He was 0-5 from the floor. Had 2 free throws to get him 2 points. Didn't really do anything in the first game either. To be entering his 3rd NBA season and not doing much of anything, And after getting drafted, he was a second rounder, but it's not like he's an undrafted guy that bounced around. He's second rounder. He has played on 2 teams already. But if he doesn't, he will presumably get more opportunity, especially if the Mavericks do shut down Cooper. He has to show something, or he might not have a spot. He might be a G leaguer this year. So I was really encouraged when the Mavericks picked him up because he was fun. I liked him coming out of that 2023 draft, but he hasn't really done much, and that's a shame. Miles Kelly again, 11 points on 8 shots, good shooter, like him. Mavericks seem to do well with him on his 2-way spot. Otherwise, no one else really popped. I mean, the Mavericks shot 36% from the floor. They shot 6 of 27, 22% from 3. This is not a great shooting summer league team. I mean, Cooper Flagg, outside of Kelly, Cooper Flagg is probably their best outside shooter. I would maybe, potentially. Gabe McLaughlin might be, or maybe it's Nembhard, but this is a team with a lot of athletes, and they're really big and they're long and they're rangy outside of Nembhard. But they don't have a lot of shooting, and I think these summer league games are going to look a lot like this. They don't have the shooting. For the Spurs side of thing, Dylan Harper, he looks like a star. He looks like everything you'd want in a ball dominant guard coming out of the draft. Carter Bryant, even though he only had 2 points and missed all of his shots, he is physically impressive, and I think he's going to be one of the he's going to be like man, I'm trying to remember. There was that guard on the Thunder that could not shoot worth a lick, but was like an excellent defensive player. He was like a 2 guard, like a 2-3 player. God, I can't remember his name. But I feel like Carter Bryant is going to be like that, where his defensive tools are off the charts because of how physically gifted he is, and he seems to be a really smart defensive player. And it's just going to be, can he shoot? But man, he looked impressive on the floor, even though he didn't make any shots. So yeah, that was a fun game. Again, Mavericks lost. They didn't shoot very well, but Cooper was awesome. I hope this isn't his last game in summer league, but it very well could be. Bill Allen says Thabo Cephalosha. Are you talking about right? No, it's none of those guys. He tore his ACL. Now it's bothering me. So I'm gonna look at. I'm gonna look in the Basketball Reference. Was he Andre Roberson? That's him. I just found him. He was on that 2016 Thunder team that the Mavericks played in the playoffs. Yeah, Andre Roberson. That's what I was thinking of. He was a guy that was just he was a killer defender with the Thunder, and he just could not shoot. He couldn't. He started a lot of games for them for a couple of years, but he couldn't shoot. And I know he had some injuries, so that probably didn't help as well. But that's kind of who Carter Bryant reminds me of initially. So we'll see. Roberson was a career 25% 3-point shooter, even though he started 269 games in 7 years. He was defensive player, the 5th in defensive player of the year in 2017, all defense second team. He was great. Couldn't shoot a lick. So I hope that doesn't befall Carter Bryant as well. But that's just kind of who he reminded me of. So hopefully he gets a jumper. Mavs fans hope he doesn't get a jumper, because you do not want the Spurs to have another guy like that. That's really it. This is a short show, 15 minutes. I just wanted to make sure we have to take advantage of Cooper Flagg being in Vegas. We have to make contact. We have to make content. And doing a solo show about a summer league game that happened 8 hours ago is really difficult. But I appreciate any of the sickos that are listening tonight on a Saturday night. Kirk is in Vegas. I don't know if he's coming. I think he's coming back tomorrow. I think he was only going to be there for the first 2 games because he wasn't sure if Flagg was going to play more than 2 games anyway. So presumably me and Kirk will be recording at our normal time on Monday. The only thing I wanted to shout out, last thing we can cover before we go, is Daniel Gafford. The Mavericks released a press release. And the Mavericks release press releases when they officially make a move, whether it's a trade or a signing. So, it'll get reported, but the Mavericks don't actually send out a release until pen hits paper. So Daniel Gafford, it was reported he agreed to a contract extension with the Mavericks like last week or maybe even before that. It was for 3 years, and I think Stein. I'm gonna look. I want to make sure I have it right because I think Mark Stein. It was on it. Okay, I got it. Mark Stein reported it was 3 years. This is on June 23rd. So actually a little bit before free agency started. Um, 3 years, 54 million. Now, Clutch, the agency Clutch, reported when the Mavericks released the release that they said they signed Daniel Gafford. Mavericks aren't releasing the terms because NBA teams don't usually do that. But Clutch then tweeted after the Mavericks kind of announced it, congrats, because Gafford's a Clutch guy. He's like, congrats to Daniel Gafford on his 3-year, $60 million extension. Mark Stein on June 23rd reported that the 3-year extension was worth $54 million. $6 million difference between the reported figure from Stein and what Clutch is saying. Now, agencies are not the most truthful sources on contract terms because they are going to stretch the truth and inflate it to make it look like their guy got as much money as possible because that's agencies. That's what they're for. So maybe it's possible that I would assume, and I think Stein has hinted, the deal is worth 3 years, 54 million. And I think maybe incentives get it up to 60, so Clutch is technically accurate, but that's not actually what the hard guarantee number is. But it's important that we get confirmation about what that number is, because if it's 54 million, cap experts after that was reported noted that that's an interesting number because it is the max amount Gafford could be extended for and still be immediately trade eligible. If he did get 3 years, 60, he would not be trade eligible until December of this year. Why does that matter? Well, the Mavericks have a very crowded front court. They have got Gafford, Lively, Anthony Davis, PJ Washington, Cooper Flagg. That's 5 players that could all start at the 4 and the 5. You've got Gafford and Lively, who are 2 centers that are capable of starting, and one of them's gonna have to come off the bench. You got Anthony Davis, who's going to start at the 4, but has to play a lot. He will play a lot at the 5. He's a good 5. So you've got 3 players vying to play that can play a lot of minutes at the 5. You got Cooper and PJ, who are both probably ideally a 4. So they're going to have to split some of their time at the 3, and Cooper's probably going to play some time at the 2. So there's a lot there. And of course, why this matters is if you've been catching up with the reporting, LeBron James is reportedly not that happy with the Los Angeles Lakers, and his time with the Lakers does not seem to be ending amicably, and it seems like it's going to be ending sooner than expected. He did opt into his contract, which is like 53 million for this season, and then he's not on the books after that, so he could walk. Dallas has been mentioned as a name that would be interested in acquiring LeBron James if he were to become available. The reporting has indicated that they're only interested in a buyout and they wouldn't want to trade for him. But I'm reading the tea leaves. The Lakers, even though they signed DeAndre Ayton when he was bought out, still probably could use another center. Why would Daniel Gafford agree to the maximum amount that would still allow him to be eligible to be traded? It's such a 3 years, 54 million. It's such a random number. Why wouldn't it just be 3 years, 60 if he wasn't getting traded? Like, I can't imagine they were haggling that. Like it can't be a coincidence that the number they land on just happens to be the most amount of money he can get while still being able to be traded this summer. So if that number is actually 54 million, what he signed, and he's eligible to be traded right now, the LeBron rumors they're gonna heat up, and I feel like something's gonna happen if that's the number. I don't see why he would sign for that degree to that number if there wasn't some trade that's been worked out. So we'll see what happens. I don't have insider knowledge. I'm just like, it can't be a coincidence. Like, why? Like 54. That's such a random. Feels like a random note. Like, why would that be the number? If he wasn't going to get traded, why wouldn't he why wouldn't he get 58, 59, like 60? Like 6 million difference over the course of 3 years. That's what. That's 2 million. Yeah, about 2 million a year. That's not that much. Like, so to me, that I feel like that's a precursor of maybe something else happening in the summer, but we'll see. And if that happens before Monday, we'll talk about it. If not, I'll bounce that idea off Kirk, and we'll probably talk about it some more. But I'm going to get out of here. 20 minutes. That's enough. Mavs Summer League Game 2. They lose the Spurs 76-69. Cooper Flagg was awesome. 31 points on 10 of 21 shooting. Go look up the YouTube highlights if you haven't. And for Pod Maverick, this is Josh Bowe. We will talk to you guys Monday night. And have a good one. Have a good save for the rest of your weekend. See you guys.